Okay, this is fun. I've been wanting to make this channel for so long, and I'm so excited. So my name is Nikita Rain. I have this YouTube channel about trans joy. I think most people know what trans joy is, but like there's a lot of things around the idea of trans joy that I think are worth talking about. I feel like a lot of trans people know what trans joy is, because I feel like it's fairly intuitive, and I think we can get into that, but also it's like kind of hard to achieve. Like you like know it when you see it, but like you can't always feel it. Does that make sense? So like why is that? Like what is it, and why do we feel it sometimes, or and why don't we feel it sometimes, or like why do we never feel it, and how can we feel that way all the time? Right? I know a lot of people who love to be trans, to be they're proudly trans. They wear trans colors all the time. Like these are ways to express trans joy and stuff like that. But you don't need to wear trans colors, but they're just so pretty. They're just so pretty. I also know a lot of people who don't feel proud to be trans, that don't feel trans joy, that feel the opposite of that, really. I don't really know, like, I don't know if there's been studies on this or anything. There really hasn't been a lot of studies on trans people in general. There totally should be. But it seems to me like it's most trans people don't have trans joy. They don't experience it. They don't feel it. And now that was me for most of my life, right? That was me for most of my life. And now I do feel it. I don't feel it necessarily like all the time, but I feel it a lot. And I want to share that with this. That's the point of this channel, is like, I want to share my love for being trans and my love for other trans people and their love for being trans and their love for other trans people. Like, I have a couple interviews of really cool trans people that I want to share with you as well. I want to help people feel trans joy. I feel like that will unlock so much potential in our community if we can collectively engage in trans joy as often as possible and help each other out. So like, what is trans joy? I talked to a friend, my friend Steph, about this, and what they said was that like being trans is just being your most authentic self and also being trans. So it's just like having that, not hiding any part of yourself, including your gender identity. And that is, I think, largely trans joy. I think that's really a beautiful thing. I kind of think of it mostly as an absence of trans shame, right? So just getting that shame out of the way, and then when I'm able to work through that, I feel like this beautiful rainbow of feelings, and I feel really proud to be myself, and I feel really empowered, and for me, I feel very feminine. So if you can work through your trans shame, you're gonna feel trans joy. Like, it's like you've always felt joy to be yourself since you were little, presumably, presumably, like you just enjoyed life, and then life got in the way. I'm gonna totally put that up there. Oh my God, I'm such a dork. How do we get there? How do we get there? How do we get that? Well, we have to, and then also I think it's good to talk about what isn't trans joy. And I think that that's trans shame. So I feel like trans joy is the absence of trans shame. At some point you start to absorb very transphobic messages, right? Or you start to express, you cross the forbidden gender line, and you want to do something, and then you're told that you can't. And I have a really great story about that when I was little. We're going to put a boop in that one and come back to that one in another video. Like, it's easy to get trapped there. And what's most challenging is when you start to take on certain transphobic beliefs and think of them as facts. Like a couple quick personal examples, and we can kind of boop these as well, is like, I was convinced that I would be not beautiful at all. In fact, quite ugly. I would be homeless. I would be unemployed, and no one would love me. Those are 4 things that I believed were true about me specifically. I would see other trans people like doing it just fine, living the life and whatever, but like I just still felt like if I were to do it, that would be my experience. These were false. These were lies that were taught to me, that I absorbed through various messaging from all sorts of we're gonna boop that. There's a lot of boops here. I like booping. Boop. I'm having so much fun with this. Thank you for watching this, by the way. I'm sure I look like a complete dork right now. So yeah, so you learn these things. You think that they are true, and they keep you from being trans, and they keep you feeling ashamed from like transitioning and like accepting your identity and whatnot. And you've always been trans. If you're trans, if you right now are trans, you've always been trans. Okay. Anyways. And so you get these messages, and then the most common response that I try to do, a lot of other people try to do, is you try to remove the transness. If you could only just not be trans. I didn't really think of that in terms, I didn't really understand on a conscious level at all that I was trans. On a subconscious level, like I always knew or whatever, but I was still trying to not be the thing. That thing needed to go away, right? And you can't just put your identity away. But turns out it keeps coming back stronger, because like as long as you're trying to do self-improvement and like grow as a person, like that's part of your growth, is accepting that. So it's just going to come back even stronger each time. But then like if you have the shame, then you have like an internal battle. That's tough. That's really tough to have that internal battle like that. And a lot of people just stay there, and they might even know they're trans and then just stay there. What they don't realize is that if you are trans, you need to work through your trans shame to accept your trans identity and just love being yourself. And then that opens up so many other doors. It is a doorway to a whole new life, to a whole new world. There's going to be random singing, by the way. Boop. And then the other thing I want to say is, if you are trans, you have trans shame. It is a part of your experience, because there's just so much transphobic messaging in the world that there's no way that you can't internalize some of it, right? There's no way you can dodge all of it. So anyone that says that I'm sick of people, I see this online all the time. Like, I'm sick of people saying that it's internalized transphobia. I don't have internalized transphobia. Right after that, say a bunch of like trans shame bullet points. You know what I mean? It's like, oh gosh. What happened there is those bullet points, they've accepted those as facts about their identity in the same way that I accepted my lies as facts. Yeah, you got to work through that. So how do you work through your trans shame? First thing is, you got to know that you have it. That was a really big bonus to me. Somehow I knew that I had these points of shame. I had a really great therapist. So get a good therapist. We're going to talk about that one. Your girl's had some experiences. Here's the deal. You have to accept that you have trans shame, and you also have to accept it without judgment. It's not your fault that you have trans shame. It's not your fault, but it is your responsibility to work through it so that you can be happy and mentally and emotionally well. Like, that's not the only thing that you're going to need, but that's one of the things you're going to need. And the other thing, I mean, maybe the first thing you gotta do is you gotta accept that you're trans, right? Like, the denial thing, that was a big deal for me, is what I'm experiencing. Is that what it means to be trans? It didn't connect in my brain that what other trans people are experiencing was what I was experiencing. So once that connection started to be made, then it kind of like, it went like 0 to 60 for me. And I just like, oh, I'm trans. Oh, okay. Let's transition as quickly as possible. So once you find your trans shame points, and it's just like you want to be trans, but you know what I mean? You want to be trans, but you think, but you feel, but like these things, like these are things to examine. And some of them are going to be trans shame things, right? Workable things that you can change how you view yourself and how you understand the world and what you need and how to get what you need and how to be yourself like that. But the first point is looking into those things. And I think that might be a really great way. It's like, I want to be trans, but, because look, you do matter though. You do matter. And because you matter, you deserve self-care, right? I just want you to know, thank you for being here. This means a lot. I'm really excited about this channel. I have so many good ideas but I really do need some validation and encouragement as much as I try to give it to myself. So if you could give a like and a subscribe, that would help make me more content or whatever. So put a positive comment down below. That'll just bring me so much joy. I want to hear about you. If you watch this whole video and you're here right now, I'm making these videos for you. So I want to hear from you. I care about you. This is why I'm here, as I care about you. And I just got over some trans shame myself. That's why I am able to record this right now. because there's layers, and you dig deeper, you find a deeper layer, and there was something that was holding me where I felt like I had to work through something in order for me to actually sit down and record this video. So it's a work in progress. I'm a work in progress. As my girlfriend and I say, I'm a spicy disaster. And then the other thing I want to say is, like, you got to take care of yourself. You got to take care of yourself. You have to take care of yourself. You know what? Let's zoom in. Hold on a second. You have to take care of yourself because you matter. Actually, just zoom in more. You have to take care of yourself. Do it. Take care of yourself.